While the guardsmen clash with his undead, Malcifer decides to reinforce his forces by unleashing a flock of really confused but potentially deadly chickens. The rose hedges get torn asunder as the living battle the dead, but eventually the brave guardsmen are overwhelmed. As a few manage to flee, the zombies start gorging on their fallen comrades. The roses will be well fed on the blood of the slaughtered. With the immediate threat over, Malcifer awakens more dead to swell his ranks, before heading to town where he finds the rest of the Corville contingent. He also sees Therin talking with them and what few guards survived the battle. Malcifer quickly returns home to rally the dead, to deliver his wrath unto the house of Corville, who so brazenly trespass on his land. As he is mustering his unholy forces, a confused Therin arrives trying to discover the truth. And when Malcifer reveals what happened, he is horrified. But Malcifer allows him to leave alive, but lets him know that the mercy he shows is in memory of their now shattered friendship. When Malcifer arrives in town, he finds the remnants of House Corville had fled into the night. With no blood to spill, he instead rallies the old blood flowing in the veins of his people. He informs them that too long they have lived under the heel of their oppressors, and that their latest insult from House Corville was the last they will suffer. The time has come for war. He bestows the mark of servitude on the most loyal of his people, but need to replenish his life force before he can do more. Every war needs supplies, so in the quiet night, Malcifer rides out with his minions to harvest the living for their body and souls. He rides all the way to Gator Beach, leaving slaughter in his wake. Upon his arrival, he finds that the people of Gator Beach had fed the necromancer to the beasts of the swamp. Enraged, Malcifer slaughters them all. With his fury spent, he returns to Winter's Hold and readies himself for the inevitable retaliation from Pinespur. How far will the dark uprising spread? Who will Pinespur send to their deaths next? What has become of little Jimmy? Let's find out now on Dicing with Death.
Hello everybody and welcome to Dicing with Death. How's it going, Ryan?
Hello. Good morning. How are we all doing today?
Awake.
And yes, we are back with that cam lag. Oh, isn't it just isn't it just delicious?
Mm-hmm. We either need coffee grinding or cam lag in one of our episodes, you know?
I think we'll just have to settle for crunching.
Even better.
That production value.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we all doing this fine winter morning?
It's a good morning, I think. How about you?
Doing well.
Yeah. Anything fancy
ready.
that we need to know about in your life?
I don't think so. We had a pre-show. We chitted the chat.
Wonderful.
It's not like we've had any big world-shattering D&D sessions happen recently. So I think we can just jump right on into our casual Thursday necromancy.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, let's take a look at our new map, courtesy of Thomas G. Newman on Twitter. That's at Thomas G. Newman. Here is the second.
Should you really be giving
floor.
that out? He's going to be getting a bunch of tweets now that are like, you got the parlor wrong.
You got to credit your artists, man. You got to credit them.
I just.
Yeah, so this is the first floor of Malcifer's house. You would enter through here. Here's this parlor we're always talking about. Here's like I think this is a coat room or something. I'm not sure. Here's a great hall. Here's a kitchen. This is I'm not sure what everything is. It's a house. It's a great house, all right?
We'll explore as we go along.
Yeah, here's our second floor of the house. Here's the tower access on the second floor. Perfect. Anyway.
Should we draw in where the entrance to the cellar is?
Yes, that is a key thing.
We've already got the sigil of Osmodan etched in on the front lawn.
Osmodan?
That's what that thing's called, right? The 5-pointed star inverted.
Oh, isn't that just a star? I don't know.
No, that's some satanic shit or something.
Okay.
Chat can correct us.
Perfect.
I don't remember what that is. Is that where I stampeded out some ritual? Oh yeah, that's where we sacrificed some chickens last time.
So I think the cellar entrance is on the right side of our perspective of the building. So like over here somewhere is what I was imagining. Actually, to be honest, I was imagining it in the front, but we can put it on the side.
No, remember it was off. Remember there was that oak tree that fell into the side of the house, and that disturbance like uncovered this cellar, right? That had been sealed up. So I think it's either on the. I mean, it's. Let's see. It would either be. I was imagining like a set of like trapped, like a tornado shelter type setup, either on this side of the house.
Oh, hey, the cellar's already there. Look at that.
Seriously?
There's some cellar doors right here.
Okay, so it's built underneath the house itself. Okay, yeah, perfect. And so there's like a big old stump of an oak tree over on that side of the house.
Yeah, and there's like some rose is on the, running along this section too. And then there would have been like a stump over here.
A purple stump.
Let me get a real tree stump for us.
About attention to detail. Oh, that is an ancient oak. Okay,
there we go.
Maybe a little more reasonable.
Yeah. Perfect.
It was just one of the branches that fell, right? We didn't chop down the whole tree, or did?
Yes, the rest of the tree is standing. But I'm just going to put a stump instead of a tree because I don't want it to block the beautiful house.
Yeah, and you can move about underneath its boughs.
Well, perfect.
So,
perfect. So here we are.
Our villain, Malcifer, just hit level 4 and has some new powers I think we need to discuss, right?
Oh, yeah.
We got, I'm seeing
Ryan.
What am I seeing? I'm seeing clairvoyance, corpse whisper, create shade, and spiritual weapons now added to my list of growing forbidden powers. Trying to remember, where did we last leave off? Did we get back to Winter's Reach after we just had the big battle, right? And then we raised them back. Let me check my spreadsheet, see where we're at. So is there anything you want to tell me about these? I assume I'm uncovering more hidden notes, or I think last time you had noted that you wanted to qualify clairvoyance and corpse whisper.
Yeah, and I think the way I want to qualify it is within sight. So similar to like possession allows you to take control of the body, but you have to touch it. Clairvoyance and corpse whisper allow you to see or speak through an undead that you have had. Shit.
So it costs years and HP. Maybe that's something that can't be done at a distance. Is that what you're saying? Like you've got to like you don't have any duration or anything listed here, right? Is it like a ritual where you link yourself with the particular undead and you can like send them off? How did you intend for this to go down mechanically? Is this like you taking would this be like me taking control of a zombie to?
So in my mind, I wanted in a way for like a necromancer to be able to send an undead emissary to like go talk with people or to speak through their undead from a distance. And so I just jotted that down as an idea. But when we have a system where you don't automatically know the position of all of your undead and you can't control them from a distance, it's difficult to figure a way to cast on creatures out of sight. So maybe they have to be marked ahead of time. Maybe Clairvoyance and Corpse Whisper can be cast on the undead when they're raised, and then that allows you to see through their eyes at any time, period. Or like a mark that you put on them, afterwards. I think it's something along the lines of you mark these creatures and then you can go into a state to see and talk through them. How's that work for you?
Good. It still feels very vague. So I think maybe we can have you introduce a way to use this in narrative or something, and we can start there. Like a particular ritual maybe that I find, whether it's for like casting a spell on a particular undead, or I don't know, we'll think about that. And then spiritual weapon is one that I'm pretty interested in. And I think immediately I want to go out and get some suitable weapons made. It doesn't take any damage. It takes years, right? But it doesn't do any HP worth of damage.
Yes.
And how long will that link last?
1 round per year of your life drained.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not, I can't prep a bunch of spiritual weapons ahead of time.
No, you cast it at the moment and then wield it. Maybe 1 year per round. 1 round is a little bit tough. Maybe it should be 1 year for 2 rounds.
We can.
Oh no, we'll see. Yeah,
we can shoot off a few spiritual weapons and see how they work. And then the create shade, which I've already got that shade in my basement that I haven't even bothered to play with. Now that I have clairvoyance and corpse whisper, that may be a more useful tool.
Yes.
Oh, and I always had the possession thing, right, where you can like give up your own body and control your undead directly.
Yes, but you do have to touch them to possess.
Yeah.
So the one thing that's important to note about shades, or maybe not the one thing, but shades are mostly transparent with a very slight red illumination. The blood gives a shade just enough projection in the material world that they can see and be seen. Shades have 1 HP for each year of the life of the caster sacrificed. And direct sunlight renders a shade invisible, but will blind them and physically harm them as well. Again, harm has not been...
harm mean?
It is not
kill them, or is it
but
just disable them?
it will do damage, so I don't know what the rate of damage is.
Are they ethereal or whatever? Can they pass through?
They are ethereal.
Yes. Okay. So in the sunlight, they would just go into the earth or something, right?
They probably couldn't go into the earth. They would have to like move through something.
Why couldn't they go through the earth? You're saying, like, does organic matter stop them? Is that something you wanted it to be?
No, inorganic matter is impassable in the ethereal plane. Organic matter is passable.
So they can go into the earth?
No, Earth is inorganic. There's
enough inorganic, and okay.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line, man? It's alive. There's fungus in the soil.
Dude,
it's everywhere.
Those questions are too real for me right now, man.
Fair enough. We'll simplify things for the purpose of this simulated universe.
Thank you.
Cool. So how much time do we have? Can we put ourselves back into game for a second and remind for me where we are?
We just had a recap. Didn't you listen?
Only kind of.
Okay.
I mean, I know it happened last week, but where?
I think we're in your house, right?
Yeah. Okay. Right. So the 2 spear came from Pine Spur, trespassed on my land, and then broke themselves upon the roses of Winter's Reach. And I have 17 zombies on my spreadsheet right now. So I'm assuming we've we've processed all of those.
I believe so. Yes, you had the zombies eat the flesh off the bones of some, and you raised some as skeletons and some as zombies.
I think I raised them all as zombies from the looks of things. I had 7 skeletons, 2 skeleton warriors, and 17 zombies. Where were the skeleton warriors? Oh, the skeleton warriors were the 2 knights, right?
Yes.
So this is all several days after the battle, right? Where I was doing work around Winter's Reach. It sounds like also in that time I managed to do some reading. Is that what you're thinking goes along with the level up, or do I have an epiphany? How does all that work?
I think there is a couple of things that happen. I think you learn some things from book, and then some things you learn on your own. So the shade is mentioned in your book.
Well,
because that's been made already. That's sitting around.
That's sitting in the basement. And so I think we can explore the shade directly. Like at some point, Malcifer goes into the basement and takes a look at the shade, and we can try to... Because I had neglected to try and take control over it.
Right.
For fear of repercussions, getting possessed or something. But I think as I've grown in power and maybe done some more study over the years, I'm more comfortable with that. So is that where we want to jump right now?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go take a look at that shade. Do I need to make a willpower check to attempt to overpower its previous owner or something?
To wrestle control from its former owner, or to exert your own control over the undead.
Yeah, and at this point the cellar is empty, right? It probably covers most of the footprint of the house, right? It was basically like a basement that was it poured into the original foundation? Or maybe
I think it's dug under. I don't know. How do old houses use for foundations? Because it didn't have like poured concrete. So
no, I think you would probably use stone.
I don't know enough about architecture to
answer
this question.
Or
do we have an expert on medieval architecture in chat? Rob, are you here? Rob?
I would think it would be a stone foundation. I think you would probably take stones and I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Is that a basement map? What is that?
This is the basement map I'm bringing up for us.
Oh, there's a basement map?
There's a basement map, Ryan.
So right now, there's not the throngs of undead that we usually hear, right? Those, I think, are just... They've got free reign of the ground.
Of the town, right? Because they're
zombies
patrolling the woods.
The zombies are patrolling the woods, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Skeletons I probably have on site for... Oh, no. More...
yeah, this is correct, actually.
More arcane sigils. Forbidden magics.
Yes. So this is clearly your basement. You enter from here, and here's the big scary room, and here's the initial room, and then this is your regular cellar.
I think they're flipped. The regular cellar is you enter into off the side of the house. You can put this...
No, because this is the... Right over here is the entrance to your...
Yeah, and the first thing you enter is a ordinary... No. It was just a small room with like a single table slab.
Yeah, this one right here. You enter into here.
Okay.
And here's your table.
Okay. And the shade circle was in the second chamber, wasn't it?
Right, which is through here.
What's this off to the... Oh, there's a regular cellar from inside of the house.
Yeah.
I see.
Cool. So, where's the entrance?
It would be... Oh,
right here. There it is. That looks like it's the entrance from the kitchen. I don't think they line up in the layers very well, but that's the intent.
Yeah. And then this little nook off here is the...
That's the stairway. Yeah.
And there's 3 tables. Okay, yeah, this actually looks pretty... Okay, cool.
Perfect. Mask and Jacket is an expert on medieval architecture, so tell us, Mask and Jacket, because we're definitely believing you 100% on this. What did they do about foundations? Did they even have them? Did you just build your house on dirt?
And then when the earthquake knocks it down, you just build a new one?
I think that's how it
went,
man.
Some of those castles have stood for centuries, though.
Well, yeah, but they're in England where there's no earthquakes, you know? If there were castles on the west coast of the United States, they would all have been destroyed by now.
They have. There were. they're fighting tooth and nail to keep those old, like, Spanish missions standing, right?
They just keep falling down.
That's what happens when you make your buildings out of mud.
Just get a bunch of mud and let it dry, and that's our house. Let's build it right in the area where all the earthquakes happen. Fantastic.
All right.
Okay,
Chat, you sort this out. Let us know what you decide.
Yeah.
Give us a summary, the cliff notes when you're done. All right. Cool. So we are in this ritual circle, right? There's a shade in the back somewhere, right?
Yes.
So, Malcifer, one of these afternoons, he takes a break from zombie carving or whatever he's been doing to. So it's easier to clean up if you just do that on the lawn, right? Rather than down here in your murder basement.
Yeah, it's way easier to. Well, it's not easier to clean up on the lawn, because then there's just gonna be blood all over the grass until it rains again.
No, but where do we? I don't know. Actually, I probably have been doing all the butchery down here, I would guess, right? I think Malcifer does that himself. He doesn't have anyone he trusts enough.
Yeah, I think you
Puts on his
butcher down
leather
there.
apron and gloves. So all of the bodies would have been brought down here and turned into zombies over the course of the days.
Yes.
And at some point, Malcifer will return to the shade and attempt to command it. You, shade. What are you looking at? What have you been looking at? Who are you? And then do I get to roll like a willpower check to...
Yes, it's going to be 1d20 plus your willpower plus twice your level, and it's opposed by the same thing of the shade.
Is there a way to do modifiers in this, like to add my willpower to my level? Twice
yes,
my
if you
level
go to
plus...
your character sheet on the second page of it, on the combat tab, you'll notice that there's, under saving throws, there's a new save or spell button, which will even, question what you want to roll with it. It's a beautiful thing. So you roll a 38, which is
the one that says new save versus spell?
Yeah, I don't know what to call it. So for now, it's just called new save or spell.
It says input value opposed by.
So you're making
power.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, and then it takes twice my level and adds. Okay, and that's what the 8 is twice my level. Okay.
Yeah.
Wasting all those good rolls on the necromancy when I really should be saving them for my critical hits. There's no chance that my forebears thought ahead and made this Bardish out of something once living.
No.
I couldn't have missed that.
Bardish was not made from something living. You might have to make your own.
What if the iron in the Bardish was made from iron extracted from the blood of
thousands of people?
Yes.
You just boil all this blood and slowly collect iron down in the base of it,
Smelt
and then
down, right?
How much iron would you need?
A lot of people. I am probably qualified to do that math, but I don't think I want to right now. That's not something that could have happened in history of this blade, or is that something I would need to do?
Males have an average of about 4 grams of iron in their body. That's, I think, throughout the whole body, not just the blood. But let's pretend it's just in the blood. How many grams to the pound?
Why would you go grams to pounds? Grams are a perfectly reasonable unit of measurement, and
because I know that there's 3 pounds of metal in a Bardish, so I'm trying to figure out how many grams that is.
So 3 pounds.
So you need 13,000 grams of iron to make a weapon, and if we divide that by 4, that's 325 bodies that you need to exsanguate. How do you pronounce that word?
Exseminate?
No.
We're taking all the iron.
What?
So that's actually not... That's assuming 100% efficiency, right? You can collect every gram of iron in a body.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right. Well, that's enough of that, I think. Because we're not doing that right now. You're not gathering hundreds and hundreds of people to murder them and broil them. You know.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll do it later.
Put it added to the to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the shade.
Shade.
I think is mine, right? It comes when I beckon. When I say, "You shade, come over here."
Mm-hmm.
What are you staring at? What's your name? But I don't think it answers. It's not intelligent, right? But it at least answers my beck and call.
Mm-hmm.
And this one has a recognizable face, right? This is the tortured soul of some poor sacrifice. Did I recognize the face? Was that a thing?
Yes, the face looked familiar to you.
Can I roll something
no,
to try and recall that?
Did it look familiar? Yeah, go ahead and give me a charisma check to recognize the shade.
Yeah. No modifiers. It's pretty convenient to click on the character sheet and let your rigged character sheet use up all my d20s before I get to combat. Use up all my natural ones.
Yeah, this looks like a tapestry of what do you call it?
Portrait. It's grandma.
Yeah, a portrait that you've seen hanging in the house. It's not actually of your grandmother. There's one of like your family, like a couple of prominent family members, and then some servants lined up behind them as if it's like a picture of the whole household staff. And this looks like one of the servants in that tapestry painting that you have hanging. This looks like the head butler of your grandmother. From that painting. I'm sure she got a new head butler after she did this to him.
Yeah. Go upstairs, and I go to shoot, but I shoo her through the wall upstairs, and she'll probably just creep out the servants if they happen to bump into her. I'll take care of that later. But I think with clairvoyance and corpse whisper, shades become pretty useful. I mean, I guess they're I don't know what I would have done with that if I had possessed her at a lower level, though. I guess I could have possessed her. And
I think possession would have been the option.
Is that what you imagined I would do with it? You just,
yeah. But you don't have to play with every tool in the box, you know?
Sure. Then I think you probably removed the entrails from zombies before you, right?
I think a good necromancer would do that. An eager new necromancer might just raise them directly and leave the guts inside.
Well, I raised them, but you can modify them once they're raised, right?
You can cut them open while they're standing there and just rip their stuff out and stitch them
back
up.
I believe I now I gained an extra proficiency, I think, and that was embalming.
Right.
So I think it's perfectly reasonable to say that I disembowel these the soldiers somewhat methodically. Yeah. Wearing the proper personal protective equipment, gloves and an apron and a big old thing over my face. Breathe any of the zombie fumes. Get them,
So while you're down here working on raping open zombies and taking out their guts, there comes a rapping on your cellar door.
Just a minute. I will put my stuff down and come running. So the clairvoyance ability is not something that I would be able to use is it meant to be semi-permanent? Could I use the shade to see who's who's knocking at the door? I mean, not that I set that up in advance, but moving forward, is that what you imagine?
You could possess the shade and have it like move around and see who's knocking from a different angle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But at this point, the shade's upstairs, so I go climbing up the ladder, assuming that it's one of my servants. Right? The voice was there a voice on the other side?
Nope, it was just a knocking.
Yeah, I come climbing up the ladder. Who is it? And I...
Lord Rosegrove answers, "It's me, my lord. You have a visitor. Lady Lilith has come calling."
I nod and enter the house. So let's go up to the first floor, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I emerge from my basement, dusty, maybe a few stray blood splatters.
Yeah. You find Lady Lilith.
I guess I would enter back in through the front door. Mm-hmm. And there's a porch, right?
Mm-hmm. There should be a porch here. I forgot about that, yeah. Be like a little...
Which I think is just like some steps, right? Out front. Maybe like a railing to lean against.
Like that.
And it's purple, of course.
Of course. What isn't purple? You find Lady Lilith in the parlor. She seems very at home here. She's been through this house so many times recently that, she's already sitting comfortably in a chair, and Tomas has her a cup of tea and a bagel that she's munching on. And when you approach, she sets it down on a side table and stands up, giving you a polite bow.
Who is this? This is a servant?
No, this is Lady Lilith.
She's bowing to me? Does
bow?
she?
Yeah,
okay.
When you walk into the room, she's a servant. She's a lower.
She's not a servant. She's well, I don't know. Lady Lilith. I am checking my spreadsheet to see if she has been marked.
Yes.
Okay, so she was not mauled to death by skeletons on her way to visit me.
No.
Good.
No. She comes over and goes down on one knee in front of you and drops her head near to the floor and says to you, "Lord Malcifer, things have changed, and I no longer wish to be a gatherer in the woods. I have seen what it is that you are doing here, and I want to be more involved." She risks a glance up at your face to try and read it. What is your face saying?
I think it's stern and expressionless.
She'll quickly drop her head back down then.
Thinking. Malcifer looks from Lilith to her wrist. I don't know if I can see where the mark was done, but
it's probably a little
concealed up the rest, but I at least know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Stand up.
She rises.
Grab a bushel of rosemary and follow me. So maybe she has to run into the kitchen, or if she pulls it, or if she clips it from Rosegrove's.
Yeah, she hurries out to the back.
Bushes.
I believe the rosemary bushes are in the back of the house, so probably out here somewhere. Also purple.
Yeah, and I'll meet her outside and take her to the cellar.
Yes.
Come into my cellar.
She heads down with wide eyes, not really sure what she's going to be seeing.
And she sees a murder basement full of half-processed corpses that have actually been raised at this point. I think they're probably easier to maneuver once it's probably the first thing we do is do the brain thing, and then deal with preservation.
A little easier to preserve when they can move on their own and hold themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Does she balk at the sight of the dead?
No. She metaphorically rolls up her sleeves to get involved.
Yeah, I provide her with an apron and gloves, or maybe I don't know if you can sew with gloves, and walk her through the process of disemboweling the zombies and probably stuffing their cavities with fresh rosemary to cover their stench. And we go through the dozen or so. I think there's probably 10 fresh corpses here that we go through the embalming process with.
Yes.
Good to have an extra pair of hands.
She makes quite the assistant. She works quietly and quickly with surprising care. Her training as a physician, I think that's...
Does she have a healing proficiency?
She does have a healing proficiency. I think calling her a trained physician is maybe a little bit much. She probably has like half a healing proficiency, to be honest. But she knows what she's doing, and she's stuffed a few corpses with rosemary before, and she made some operational changes to Big Jimmy's wife, removing her lungs.
I think I had requested her to be working on some kind of perfume, hadn't I? I don't remember if I did make that, or if I had just theory crafted about it.
I don't recall getting that instruction.
The idea was for her to apply her expertise to this whole embalming process and come up with something to cover the stench. You know, ideally we'll develop a way to like make these zombies, or at least I don't know if every zombie needs to be palatable, but to cover up the stench and wrap it up so you can't see any exposed flesh, and have them be able to pass for just for a human, or a living, breathing human,
as best as it can be done. Yes.
more.
Do you tell her that this is your intention?
Through the countryside. I don't think so. I think we're pretty wordless, or at least when it's like, hand me that scalpel. Forceps.
Blood bucket.
It's here. Blood bucket. Oh, God.
She makes many a trip emptying the blood bucket on the roses and bringing it back down.
Yeah. No, I think Malcifer treats her as because she's probably going to be, well, I don't know. Malcifer treats her as an apprentice or whatever, right? I don't know, yeah. Like Rosegrove or Tomas can come grab the blood bucket. She's got more useful skills, right? Better to have her stitching zombies than dumping blood buckets in the roses. Excellent. Or feeding the pigs.
Yes. So together, the two of you work quietly and quickly, stuffing these corpses with rosemary, removing the lungs so they don't make weird groaning noises, if that's what you want.
Oh, sometimes groaning could be effective, but I think for the particular, what we're talking about here, I think we just empty out the cavity of anything unnecessary for the magic, right?
All the guts come out, just leaving the bones and the flesh as a structure to hold the body together.
And the muscles, right? I have a question for you. Can you apply unholy strength to undead?
No, they have to be willing. Also, undead already have ridiculous strength. Right. Yeah.
Sweet. And maybe eventually, I don't know if eventually I leave her to do this on her own, or or if this is just that evening after we've wrapped up for the day. I would like to go find where that shade made it to. So I'll wander around my house and see where it because I just sent it upstairs out of the basement. It just clipped through the wall and went and hung out in a closet, or maybe in the kitchen. So I'll wander around and see if I can locate it. Maybe I've got a terrified servant that's avoiding a room because there's standing there.
Yes, you find Tomas standing outside the kitchen, in the dining room, just sort of pacing back and forth. And when you walk in,
is it in there? I say as I brush past him, looking into the kitchen.
He nods, very concerned.
She's staring at you, and I brush past Tomas to the shade.
You find it just standing in the middle of the kitchen doing literally nothing.
Go haunt the tower, the spare wing, and I point off to the old boarded up tower. And
it follows your pointing and just phases
doesn't know
walls.
what the tower is, but I point to that corner of the house, and then I'll maybe go over there and go meet it there, and like sit it somewhere. What's in the tower? Was it just was it on the second floor that there was a?
The entrance is on the second floor. The bottom floor is sort of like a what do we call it? Storage room for a bunch of crap.
I think I think it was like a library, right? There were a lot of secret books back there. Or were those on the second floor? Murder basement.
I don't remember. I think it's mostly an abandoned tower at this point. No one's lived there in a long time, and a madman was locked in there, so some people say it's haunted. Guests don't like to sleep near it.
Well, it's definitely haunted now. And I want to know about the clairvoyance thing. Oh, actually, possession is probably what I want to do here. And take this thing for a fly. I could have done that ages ago, but I guess I never really had anything I wanted to spy on. But that only costs a year, right, to possess?
Yes. The one thing to remember with possession is if you end the possession without the creature touching you, the creature dies. Right? So you possess it, cruise around, and then if you return and touch yourself, then it...
Yeah, but it's not like a familiar dying where caster takes damage or something.
No, it just... The magic holding it together is lost.
To keep it around, you have to bring it back to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it's... Let me see my... how am I doing on years? Oh... I'm pretty spent. 25 out of 43.
Oh, you are low on years.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah. So it probably doesn't make sense, but I think I would want to use this to scout. Anyways.
That's fine. There's always more people to sacrifice.
Yeah, we can spare one to take this... take the shade for a spin. So I meet it over in the tower, and I reach out and I touch the servant's, probably like the top of its head, awkwardly, and make eye contact. And I think the shade has just been staring, right, blankly, this whole time, kind of creeping me out. Certainly creeping Tomas out.
Yeah.
But I like move my head to get in front of its eyes, lock gaze, and I think. My vision's inverted and I'm suddenly staring at myself.
And you slump to the floor. Your body hits the ground with a thud and just lays. Where are you? In the tower?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere up in the tower.
Okay.
If I was smart, I would have set myself up a cushion to fall on or like a chair to lean into. And maybe I'm just on that rug in the center there as I like look down at my body and then up at the ceiling and can I fly? Can I fly?
No. Now you can hover off the ground a little bit, but you can't like gain serious altitude.
Okay, but I can like walk through a second story window and just like
plummet to the ground.
To the ground. And I think I don't get fatigued, right? Can I take off jogging towards the forest?
The shade has a flat movement rate. I don't think it goes to jogging. I think it just
it just goes at movement rate 12 or whatever.
How did the shade even get to the second floor? If it moves... Oh, no, because this is semi-ethereal, so it...
Yeah, I was assuming that it could just, like, pass through... I think it would have went to the first floor and maybe... It
can pass through walls, but it can also stand on floors, since it's only semi-ethereal. A normal ethereal creature probably couldn't get to the second floor of a building if the whole building was wood, since it's all organic matter.
Yeah.
But the semi-ethereal creatures can interact with it selectively.
Does it move its legs when it runs, or does it just sort of like hover?
It doesn't even have legs. Like you get the head, shoulders, and upper body of a person, and then at the lower down, it just sort of becomes misty. And the shape of a person is more like the outline of a person, Like if you had a person covered in a plastic bag that, you know, was tight against your skin, and then you just removed the person, so it was just like a plastic bag in the shape of a person with like a little bit of misty water in there, is what it would sort of look like.
Will I find myself able to corpse whisper through a possessed creature? Is that more what you, was that a function you had intended?
It was not, but
it seems like that would be the most one of the most obvious ways to use it, right?
I think that's fine. I think you can cast Corpse Whisper while you're possessing something. That's I'm okay with that.
Created some sort of spiritual link that you can feed that life force through.
Let me just make that note in our spells for future use.
Cool. So I'll spend a few hours passed out on the floor here, taking the shade for a run. Or I guess just for a casual glide through the woods.
You're doing this at night.
Sure.
Because during daylight you'd be blinded by it.
Yeah, it's probably that evening after I've taken a rest from processing corpses, and I go for a fly through the woods. I was hoping that it could actually fly and I could see from a vantage, so this is less useful. But, you know, there's the off chance that I picked the right night to send a scout out. Or maybe there's always things to see in the woods.
There's always
something.
I go
check on. I mean, at the very least, I'll see my zombie patrols. Right there's probably a dozen zombies with orders to just wander around the woods and murder anyone that isn't marked.
You find
I probably worked on and nuanced the zombies' instructions as I've sent them out one by one. Like the first ones were just like wander around the woods and you know, and then do your zombo thing, and then from here on out it's like, okay, wander around the woods and subdue and drag to the orchard. They don't even know the orchard. Subdue and
that's more complicated. Zombies only have basic intelligence. You need smarter creatures for that level of work.
Okay. So the zombies are just wandering around the woods then. Do I see some of them or hear some?
You see them, but you also see a lot of dead animals lying around. Like there's a deer that's just dead on the ground, and there's a bunch of dead squirrels, and you know, like the zombies have killed everything. Any living creature that they've been able to come in contact with, they've ripped to shreds. And then when scavengers come to eat them, the zombies then kill those that they wander across. So there's kind of like a
zombies
dead
interested
zone.
in the dead animal. Like, do they eat deer, or do they just kill them out of hatred of life? Do they need to eat?
They do not need to eat.
Where does
they
the
will
flesh go?
compulsively eat.
Does it just fill up in their bellies and leak out eventually?
Yes.
So I'll probably the ones that I stuff with the rosemary will probably need to be periodically like emptied. They'll be like vacuum cleaners, kind of like empty the birds out of their cavity and stuff in some fresh herbs to cover the stench.
I guess. I mean, if you remove the stomach, then the things that they eat just like drop down into the rosemary and it slowly soaks it through. Ugh.
Right. Okay. So this is good to know. That's good to know. I will have to send my hunters further afield and send someone to pick up all these, to scavenge all these corpses, because at the very least we can feed them to the roses or something. You can always use good flesh.
You can always use another corpse.
I can raise all of them as monster zombies, right? Just zombified deers and...
They hate grass, the zombified deers. They'll eat any plant they come across. I really like the idea of just like zombie deers that compulsively eat everything living and don't care about people, just all the plant matter.
And I'll spend a few hours. So should we go to the aerial map, or are we planning on jumping back to the house in a minute?
No, we can go to whatever map you'd like.
Pretty quick. But just to get a lay of the land, see how far I can ghost in a couple of hours.
Okay.
Is there any limit to the possession? Could I just could I give up my life as Malcifer and just retire as a zombie?
Your physical body will degrade and die. You'll starve and dehydrate eventually, but other than that, you can possess for as long as you want.
Okay. So at movement rate 12, I can phase right through trees and difficult terrain, so it's just going to be like a steady 12. Should translate to a couple of miles in a couple of hours, right? Moving rate
3.5 miles per hour.
Cool. So I probably get a good couple miles. So I probably pass the dead zone. I don't think the zombies are wandering more than they're pretty slow, right? I don't think they're more than a couple miles out of Winter's Reach, just like doing laps. So I probably go an hour out, circle around a couple of hours, and then go the hour back. So in 4 hours, I do
a patrol of the woods.
Yep.
Right.
Nice little ghost walk. Do I see anything other than zombies and their carnage?
At one point, you do come across a small camp. There's a little tent, fire that's gone out by now. And that's it. Yeah, just a single tent and a fire pit.
I'll poke the shade's ethereal head through the wall of the tent and see what's inside.
Inside are two people snuggled together in a bedroll.
Mm-hmm. Do I have dark vision as undead? Like if I'm possessing an undead, do I get to see
you
a sight?
You have this sort of like low light vision, like not how do I say? Remember the infravision potion that you had in Fro? That showed you heat outlines
Spoilers,
of people.
Jeez.
So you can see the outlines of living things.
Mm-hmm.
But
got like light vision.
Yeah, and that is sort of imposed
dead
over
vision.
on top of this like low light vision. So you can sort of see your surroundings, but then living things stand out to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do they look like warrior? It's just a couple, right? Do they have weapons?
Oh yeah, there's two suits of armor and some weapons and some traveling supplies.
Really?
It's leather armor, and they're short swords spears and short bows. So they could be hunters, or they could be rangers or scouts or who knows what.
Do I see any sigils, or do they look like free swords, sell swords? What's the word?
You see no sigils.
Mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once I've located that camp, I think I will go back to Malcifer.
Okay.
Beeline it back to my body.
You arrive.
Some hours later.
Mm-hmm.
Am I still passed out was I unconscious on the floor, or did one of the servants come and hear the thump and come find me?
Yes. Lord Rosegrove, Tomas, and Lady, what the fuck's her name? Lilith, as well as your, Clarice in the barn?
Mm-hmm.
No. Is that her name? It wasn't Clarice. It was Cassandra? Kathy? It starts with a C. It definitely starts with a C.
I have it written down. The chicken lady?
Yes, the one who's...
Carrie?
Carrie, thank you.
Yeah.
All four of them...
With chicken beef?
All four of them are standing around your body, not sure what to do with it. And you can, as the shade approaches, you can see that they've picked you up by your shoulders and legs, and they're trying to carry you into a bedroom. You can hear Lord Rosegrove saying, "You shouldn't work so hard. Lord Winter overtaxes himself with the generosity of his soul."
This is like the last thing I hear as I go. I think the shade would go colliding with the body, and I just go right back into it.
Tomas gives a shriek and drops your legs.
Yeah.
Carrie holds onto your shoulders as the shade touches you.
Off of me, Malcifer grumbles as he elbows the servants off and stands up.
Yeah, they back away, surprised as all hell. The shade just hovers right next to you.
Thank you. You come with me, and I take the shade with me as I march off to get ready for midnight ride. Thank you for your service. I've got I grumble as I.
Bewildered, they stand back as you exit the room, and after you're gone, you don't hear this, but they have a short exchange where they're like, "What the fuck was that?" And,
yeah, of course.
Well, you're not there, so we won't go over it. But yes.
Yes. They'll maybe there will be rumors that Lord Winter is prone to fits. Of it. I guess. Well, we'll see.
Yes, he has a. What's the necromancy version of narcolepsy? It's necrolepsy. Necrolepsy. Okay.
I love it. All right. I go to get my skeletal, probably just all the skeletons, and the shade's following me, and I get armored up, and I trace my shade steps out to that camp that I saw.
You will reach it just around dawn, maybe a little bit before the sun rises, but like the sky is getting lighter.
Yeah. Me and the skeletons surround the tent. And I would have my horse with me, so I will dismount and walk over to the front of the tent and push the flap aside, and I'm like, I say, you two, to the skeleton warriors, get their weapons, and I bust into the tent, as the skeleton warriors probably do as well, like removing the weapons and leaving.
The couple wakes up with a start. Their hands go for their weapons, but you're in there, and the skeletons are in there all at once. They have no chance. When they see that there are skeletons grabbing their weapons and a...
Hold, I say, like stopping the skeletons from murdering them with their own swords.
They
are my skeletal warriors
sit up and stare.
Did I get around to that with these guys? I don't think so. That was the last contingent that I sent out.
Right.
These two are... Well, they're warriors, so they're dressed as the knights they once were. But they're very clearly skulls under those helmets. But maybe they just think this is a bad dream. Who are you to trespass on Winter's land?
The lady sits forward and says, "Who are you? Who are these creatures?"
I am the Lord Winter, and these are my subjects. Now, answer to your lord. And I give whoever that was that answered me a kick back to prone.
I'm Bonnie. And this is Jim.
Bonnie and Jim, that's it? I look to their armor to see if it looks like knight's equipment or if it's like just mishmash.
It's mishmash leather armor.
Are you poachers or brigands? Do they have hunting bows or anything?
They do, yes. Neither. We're travelers, wandering through the woods. And we do not know who a Lord Winter is, she says, like getting to her feet, sort of. As much as you can in a small tent like this, she just like sits up on her knees.
We're probably all like hunched out. Malcifer is a tall man, so he's probably got his head like hitting the center of the tent.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. The skeletons, I think maybe they've even stepped outside with the weapons, like back to like make some space. The guy is still prone. I think
the guy's still prone.
I stand on him, and she gets up to like her kneeling.
She gets to her knees and grabs a shirt from nearby and throws it on quickly.
Are they both naked?
Yeah, they were sleeping.
Yeah.
He's still laying down, eyes agape, trying to. You can see him like pulling on her elbow and trying to get her to quiet down, but she's having none of it.
Shh. He's having a lovely dream. Now you were saying who you are and why you're here. Who do you serve?
We serve no one. We are free people who bow to no lord.
Is that a thing here on Gadia?
I mean, no one respectable. Think of that's more like gypsies, kind of traveling free people who serve no one, but like the rest of the state thinks that they do, and then they don't pay their taxes, and they're getting in trouble, and they're trying to just be their own, free people and no one's having it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a point of contention and conflict.
They haven't killed any animals, have they?
You have no evidence that they have. But they're on your land.
Yeah. Are they, though? Yeah.
I mean, there's not a clearly defined border, and there's no GPS to be 100% certain on these issues. But reasonable doubt is different in medieval times than it is in modern times.
Free people, where do your whims take you now? Where are you going? From whence have you come?
We're not staying on your lands. We have no desire to treat with you, Dark Lord. She defies you to your face.
Malcifer is suspicious. And hungry for souls. You keep managing to make RPG systems that incentivize murder, Neal.
I wonder if that's something I should examine in myself at a later point in time. I mean, my wife is becoming a therapist, so I'll have some way to deal with these problems, but...
I don't think you can treat your own family members. That is like yeah.
Yeah. It was more of a joke than a real solution to non-existent problems.
Is there any way I can, like, tell if she's lying? Is that a thing you want to introduce? Like, do you want me to be able to roll charisma checks to see whether I trust people, or...
Yeah, you can do a charisma check to get your best read.
Yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
Because, like, I mean... Yeah.
There's got to be some way to tell a lie. Because you can tell lies in the real world.
Sure.
You're good at it.
Is that it? Does that work? That doesn't pass. I've got to... Yeah. Do I have any
she
sort of
seems fairly confident and
she's not
honest.
Like an informative pine spur. So I think while she's been talking, I've been sizing all this, right? I've been asking questions about what equipment they had, hunting bows, were they poaching? I will be looking for any sigils, right?
You find no sigils.
Stuff with my spare foot.
Yeah. If you try and look, really rummage through it with your hands, she will speak up. But
no,
if you're just poking
I'm
around,
looking through with my eyes. I want to keep. I said I had my bardish, but I think a loaded crossbow may actually be more likely weapon to have on hand. But I don't think it will wind up mattering. And I just go poking around. If I step off of the dude, does he try to get up, or does he just stay laying there?
He stays laying there. His eyes are open. He stopped tugging on her, and he's just watching.
If I look around, they don't appear to be agents of Pine Spur.
They don't. They honestly look, or at least she's acting like a gypsy-esque independent person.
Malcifer has no concept of this gypsy. In his mind, Winter's Reach is as free as it gets. But I think this is like Borderlands, right? This is not part of the wood that I would actually even consider my own territory necessarily, other than I'm a Lord of Winter and this whole island's my ancestral home.
It would be outside of the lands that you have traditionally claimed. But I do believe your claim is spreading, and what you consider your lands is steadily increasing.
Yeah. Yeah. So Malcifer looks around the tent, ponders for a moment or two, and will eventually leave, telling this couple, lie back to sleep. This has all been a bad dream. And I think just as swiftly as he barged in, he'll leave the tent.
What about the weapons?
Do they upgrade any of my dudes? Let's see what we're looking at. I think the two knights the two warrior skeletons I have they have arming swords already. My skeletons have improvised weapons, which are just as good as a short sword, right? Mm-hmm. They've just got mismatched leather armor now. I'm like, leave that. I think I say to the skeleton warriors, all of you, come with me. And I lead off the skeleton army and the shade. Mm-hmm. And we disappear back into the woods and leave these whatchamacallums to their wretched lives.
You will get back to your house as the sun is little after sunrise. Mm-hmm. Your skeletons follow along, trudging beside you.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, is there something else I was going to do? I want to head back through Winter's Reach and get a Fletcher on making me some suitable spiritual weapons. So perhaps I meant to mention this when we were in the manor, but at some point I would have seen through a book maybe describing a diagram of this ritual.
Yep.
Maybe definitely. A sketch of some ritual bone knife that one of my ancestors was working with, describing about imbuing it with their own life force. And
you find these notes in Grandma Clarice's diary or spell book or journal, or I don't know what you wanted to call this lab book of hers, but you find them in here. Talks about the binding of your soul to a weapon, which sort of like helps create a portal between the material plane and the spiritual plane that like passes through the ethereal, and this like link is sort of she doesn't use the word gravity well, but that's how we would understand it, like a gravity well for life energy when you do this, and then as you hit things, it just helps to suck extra life force through.
Cool. Mm-hmm. So I will swing by town and find a Fletcher. I assume we have Fletchers. Mm-hmm. To make me some crossbow quarrels that are 100% wood or maybe bone tipped. We also need to send the hunters out to collect all these bodies. So I will dispatch the skeletons. I say to the skeleton warriors, go back to the estate and wait in the orchard for me. I tell the skeletons to follow the skeletons and you and the shade to follow the skeleton warriors.
Excellent. The shade didn't come with you tonight, did it?
It did. It was with me and the skeleton contingent the whole time.
So then as the sun comes up, this shade is going to have to hide like in a tree or something, and you're going to have to come back for it the next day.
Okay.
Otherwise the sunlight will break it.
I guess that's what happens if we're back to Winter's Reach after dawn. Is that... Yeah.
So on your way back, you'll have to find a tree, and it'll just like stand inside the tree where the sun can't hit it.
Up in hiding in the leaves, totally blinded and disabled. Yeah, sure.
It'll wait for you to cut down the tree, or to tell it to come back out. Oh, that's a pretty interesting thing. Imagine some lumberjacks cutting down a tree, and inside is just like a ghost that's waiting. They'd probably die from the sunlight shortly thereafter, but still, that's a terrifying thought.
Okay. So skeletons back to the estate. I need to get some spiritual weapons, so I will find a Fletcher that does that. Do they need to be custom ordered? How is that going to work?
Yes, you will order your servants to make these things, and they will make them.
All right. I need some bolts that are made out of. God, I sound like such a quack, right? Organic matter. What's organic, Lord? So bone tip. What's do you have bone on hand?
The Fletcher nods and says that he can grab some from the butcher down the way or any of the other people in town. There's always extra animal bones. They can't actually use all of the bones that they bring in, so
fair enough.
It's easy access to them.
Well, get carving.
Excellent.
And
they begin to carve you bone-tipped corals. Excellent.
Sweet.
Why don't we take our first break here, because we have not had a break yet. And we will come back on the other side with a little more Dicing with Death. Get your coffee, get your snacks, get your popcorn. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Bye-bye.